We spend our lives completely immersed in the physical world. Our days are defined by consumption, endless scrolling, and the pursuit of the next rush of immediate gratification. We operate under the stubborn assumption that our daily routines and physical pleasures will last forever. We treat the present moment as the only reality that actually exists. Then the day of judgment arrives. The endless hum of the modern world stops instantly, and the illusion of normalcy is violently shattered. The stakes shift in a fraction of a second. The physical assets we spent decades accumulating evaporate, and our hidden spiritual reality is suddenly exposed for a permanent, inescapable evaluation. This forces us to answer a terrifying mathematical equation. When the clock stops and eternity begins, how exactly do decades of temporary earthly choices dictate a permanent destination? To understand the mechanics of this judgment, we look at the first subject, the corrupted soul. This life is defined entirely by consumption and the deliberate rejection of the gift of salvation. This diagram illustrates spiritual decay. Sin acts as a self-inflicted poison, spreading from the center and corrupting the soul inside out. Over time, it severs divine connection, thickening into an impenetrable wall that locks the soul inside its desires. The final verdict reflects that isolation. The gates of heaven are shut, finalizing a permanent rejection. This environment represents the reality of the abyss. It is a space defined by eternal fire, complete darkness, and isolation so absolute that the cries of torment never cease. The abyss functions as the final, logical extension of a life that chose to detach itself from its source. Now let's examine the exact opposite trajectory, a soul defined by radical charity and steadfast faith. Look closely at this exchange. We see someone handing over their last possession to a stranger simply because the other person needs it more. In a purely earthly economy, this is a loss of capital. But in the spiritual economy, this act of extreme material deprivation acts as a mechanism for accumulating massive eternal wealth. By keeping the faith and walking in the light, the soul triggers a specific divine evaluation. They are recognized simply as a good and faithful servant. The verdict for this path is a divine welcome. The gates stand wide open, inviting the soul to enter the joy of their Lord, in a reality where tears no longer exist. This visualizes the experience of heaven. It is an architecture built out of eternal glory, ultimate peace, and a perfect, unbroken connection to the Creator. Heaven, therefore, is the natural fruition of a soul that aligned itself with divine love through earthly sacrifice. The mechanism here is surprisingly straightforward. The Day of Judgment operates as a cosmic freeze frame, permanently crystallizing the everyday choices humans make while on Earth. This chart maps these two trajectories side by side. You can see how directly the temporary inputs, consumption on the left, sacrifice on the right, map to permanent spiritual outputs. This means that a quiet moment of giving or a fleeting impulse to take actually serves as the foundation for an eternal state. Right now, with every decision to hoard or to give, every living person is actively pouring the concrete for the architecture of their own afterlife. If you are hearing this, your timeline is still active. Your final judgment has not yet arrived. The eternal fire of the abyss awaits those who despise the gift of salvation. That reality is a mathematical certainty for a life of unchecked corruption, but there is still time to avoid it. You have the agency to choose the actionable alternative. You can accept the gift of salvation and actively choose to walk in the light. The final trumpet will not give a warning before it sounds. The pivot from self-indulgence to faith must happen today while the window is still open. Make the choice to practice charity and hold on to faith right now. That single decision secures a permanent future where tears are no more and only glory and peace remain.